Hello, everybody. I'm Liz,
And I'm Rob.
and together we are
Liz and Rob.
And so here we are for our check-in. And as we always do, we're going to start with introduction of both our hot beverage,
Right.
saying this, and our secret snack. So your hot beverage today is
I don't know.
raspberry
Oh,
tea.
raspberry
Yes.
tea. Sorry.
That's okay.
It's room temperature because I'm sure. Oh, no, it's still warm.
No, I just hotted it up.
Right. Okay.
And today I wanted hot chocolate. So
Wait,
I
hot
made
chocolate
myself-
was on the table?
Next time, baby. All right.
Some crappy ass raspberry tea. No, I'm kidding. I love the
I know.
raspberry tea.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I have hot chocolate and raspberry tea. And the secret snacks every now and then are not so secret.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not that big a secret what these snacks are because we can explain.
Yeah, well, we're filming this on April 7th, and tomorrow is our younger son Jake's birthday. But I will be flying out first thing in the morning for a very early flight to Atlanta, where I'll be speaking at a conference. So
Which
were
we'll
gonna-
talk
We
about
can.
later
We can talk a
in
little
greater
bit about
detail,
that.
right?
So we were going to miss his birthday. So we made early birthday cupcakes to celebrate him when the whole family was together. So we have each of our secret snacks is a vanilla cupcake with chocolate frosting in honor of our son Jake's birthday. So there we go. That's our secret snack.
Okay.
So we're both doing a catch up because you had a really interesting thing you got to do this week, and then sharing with what's coming up for me in the next week.
Okay.
So did you want to start?
Yes. Well, two things actually. I finally delivered a animated short that I'd been working on for a couple of years with two wonderful people, Stephen Hyatt and Gina M. Rodriguez, called Macintosh. I can't go too much into it, but it has something to do with the Wizard of Oz, and it was a lot of fun to do. And I'm bringing it for two reasons. One, because I'm really happy with the work that came out. I really enjoyed it. But two, it kind of like I haven't done animation in many years, so it sort of reignited my like kind of love for animation. So lately, I've been sort of scouring things like Adobe Animate and Adobe Character Animator, just so that I can start another project. I just have that thirst now to do more animation. I don't know what the next thing would be animation-wise. I haven't landed on an idea yet. I don't know if I want it to be serious or zany or a combination of the two. I have no idea. But I know that I'd love to do something animated very soon because I really just got a thirst for it. This time this particular piece is more character based, so it was fun actually animating very specific characters who are both talking to each other, but designing them so that visually they have very specific characteristics to them, and then animating those characteristics to create interesting characters.
And I
Yeah.
will tell you what I loved about it, because this has been a lengthy process.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the process of meeting with the team and then designing the characters.
Yeah, and then the talent coming in to do the voiceovers first, because
Yeah.
that when you animate, most of the times when you animate, the voice comes first. So that helped tremendously. Also, the characters that they played vocally, that helped me to develop and create the actual characters visually.
But yeah, and what I really did love watching as you went through this process is you have so many beautiful gifts as an artist in your toolbox, or whatever we want to call that thing upon which you draw. But you hadn't used animation in a long time. And when I met you, you did a lot of animation.
Yeah.
And it was just so beautiful to watch you reclaim kind of that
Right.
love for animation and how you can express yourself and express a story in animation in a way that's different than some other ways you have been
Right.
sharing your
Yeah.
gifts. Yeah, I
Yeah,
really have loved
it's
watching.
it's a palette that's much larger than, in some cases, larger than just live action. You can really let your imagination go. You can go over the top with things and not worry about it being too out there, or and just sort of express your ideas. Actually, in some ways, more visually literal. Almost like the Amelia Bedelia book we were talking about. If someone says, "Oh, I was up against a wall," or that's not a phrase, but you know
Draw
what
the
I'm saying.
curtains. I
Yeah, if
remember
you draw, Bedelia
Bedelia being told she should draw the curtains.
right.
And she
You
drew
could
the
do things
curtains.
like that,
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about. The second thing I wanted to talk about was last week I had the honor for the fourth year in a row to be one of the judges at the Locust Valley Student Film Festival. The Locust Valley Student Film Festival is a festival that happens once a year at Locust Valley High School / middle school. And it's not just them. It's high schools from all over Long Island that come. Then they submit and they work their way there. And I I love being a judge there because you really get to see versus like other I'm a judge on a couple other film festivals where you get to see polished work and you get to see people who have who have technical prowess creating these wonderful, beautiful pieces. Here you're seeing people at the very beginning. And I love that. I love to see that just raw, untapped talent that necessarily hasn't learned any particular rules just yet. And so you get to see what their concept of storytelling is. And of course there are things going to be wrong with it because they don't have certain technical processes. Like one of the, which I never understand, one of the awards is for best sound. And I'll tell you right now, there is no high school student film whatsoever that has great sound. It just doesn't, because it's not something that's taught to you. I will say though, there were a couple that had wonderful sound. So, but in general, they don't. And, but that's okay. That's perfectly fine because again, you're seeing, rather than I've said this before, rather than, other film festivals where you're looking to see how people create their garden, right? This is their seeds. This is the seeds that you're looking at. And you're trying to, and so I don't necessarily, when I judge it, I don't necessarily try to look at you do look for the best film, but I also try to find the film where I can see promise in a person. And I try to see if I can get them some kind of award, primarily because if I see promise in a person, I don't want to discourage them. I would like to give them some kind of recognition because you want them to go, oh, somebody, I have this thing in me and someone recognized that, so maybe I should keep going versus, oh, I gave it a shot and it didn't work and I'm going to take up accounting or something. Not to put down our accountants. We love our accountants. But if it's not, I'm saying, if it's not a dream that gets lost. I want them to follow their dreams. And and honestly, the year before I had a couple of students I looked at and I said, this person's fantastic. And they ended up, working on the boys' film because had reached out to me for something else. And so I said, listen, you need to, my sons are shooting a feature right now, and they came in and they helped and and I think they're going to be working in a much more specific capacity in their next film. So, it works out. And then some of the students there who also showed promise came and helped out at the Long Island International Film Expo last year too. I'm hoping that happens again this year too. And, I want that kind of promise in someone to be heard and to be seen so that they know that there's a safety net for them if they make a leap, that somebody will catch them.
I love that. And one of the things that is a constant thing that we talk about in our conversations, because it's something we talk about in our home, all of our work is around that idea of the beloved community. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that idea of the beloved community, it was an idea that Dr. King had. And he said that the end of all of his work, the end of his nonviolent action, the end of all his work was to create what he called the beloved community. And in that, it was really a society where everyone was equally valued and equally shared in all of the goods of society. And so for me, that's what I try to do. And I know you do that too. We all have our different spheres in which we work. But for me, wherever we are working, we should be doing the best to see each person, see who they are, see how to value them, and and just cultivate that. And I think it's that cultivation that you're very good at. And that's what I love about you being invited back year after year after year, because you get to stay in touch. And there is this beautiful film community here on Long Island.
Yeah.
And I've been watching it cultivated over the whole time that our boys and you have been making films here. And there's something powerful to working with people who, Josh said it really well. No, it was Jake. Jake and I usually go for walks every day, and we have long conversations about whatever project he's working on. And I was saying that one of my frustrations sometimes with the work I do, and it can be true of any artist with any project, is you get some people who reach out to you because they want to take your work and tell you how they think you should be using your work to help their vision. And you can find those people pretty quickly, right? And we've spent a lot of time cultivating those people. But what I love that you do and the boys do is you've surrounded yourself with people who understand your vision and work really hard to use their gifts to help you cultivate your vision. And then they all turn around and say, well, I have this idea that can serve your vision. And
Absolutely.
It really is this idea of a loving community, right?
Yeah.
That's what I would use
Right,
that
because
term,
it isn't
a loving
transactional and
community.
it's not a quid pro quo thing.
No.
It's just everyone wanting to be artists and everyone wanting to support each other in that moment. And whatever moment that is whatever project a person wants to get off the ground or write or whatever, So
especially if you encourage the play in it, right? Like I really remember there are two things I remember. I remember when the boys were filming their film over the last summer, and there was a tricky way to how we were going to design where they were going to put the microphones to get the best sound, and it was a dinner table. And the young man Kobe, who did the sound, came up with this unique idea, and he found a way to put it underneath one of the bowls that was in the dinner table. It just really created this beautiful sound, and it was interesting and it was innovative, and the boys really worked with him to let him play and listen to him and let him do what he knows how to do to help serve their vision of what they were trying to do.
I mean, I think the majority of any filmmaking, and even I think to a certain extent studio music and the things that, so much of it is problem solving. Because you can plan all you want, and you should plan all you want, because problems are going to arise. And the reason why you plan so much is that when a problem does arise, and it will, you're prepared for it. And so, yes, when things like that, well, where do we put it? Where do we put it? Well, the camera is, the mic's going to be obscured with this fruit bowl or whatever. Right. Let's put it there, and it's right by the actor's name. And I've been editing it, so I know what the sound sounds like, and the sound is fantastic.
Yeah, it was super clever. And even the lighting guys, if you love lighting and that's your thing, and people give you the ability, I want to use the word play. Yes, it's work, but there's something joyful about letting each other play in their own sphere and create it together. It's such a collaborative art form. We talk about that all the time, right? Film is probably the most collaborative of art forms, and I don't know, it's just so beautiful.
Film is the sum of all the other arts.
Yeah.
So, if you think of it that way, it incorporates every aspect of any other art form.
And so that's what I loved. I loved hearing you. I know how excited you were in the run up to going to the film festival, the high school film festival, and you were checking in with me all day saying, hey, this person is here, and this film was great. And that really joy that you have at seeing burgeoning filmmakers is very powerful, and it's what you did with our kids. And I love that you don't only envision it for our kids, right? There was a Facebook meme I saw recently saying, if you're only concerned about kind of making things better for your children, that's not going to create a better world.
No.
Right? You have to think about everyone's children.
Right.
And I love how much you welcome and care for all the young people who are in the sphere, right? And helping them cultivate their projects, especially some of you had heard us talk about our friend EJ, right? I love how you and EJ collaborate. Right. And I think you should want for everyone's kids what you want for your own child. And I love the way you encourage everybody's kids.
Right. As a matter of fact, I think this week, now that I've delivered 2 other projects, because I now have to I have to approach each project like a landing airplane. So now I've landed those two planes. The next project to start is the post production on EJ's film that we shot last September, October, and December. Actually, yeah.
So that was that was it. I love that catch up, and I really wanted you to share that process and that joy you get.
Yeah.
Because for you, it's not about the contest. Yes, there are awards, and yes, there are things, but I really love the joy.
It's about, for me, it's about finding that one voice and trying to cultivate it, and trying not to discourage that voice from being doused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So.
Okay. So this week, and it's why we're doing this now, this is kind of a pre-thing. I haven't been away this long in a long time. When the boys were younger, I would travel more and you were home with them. But I have a colleague that I started What Better Looks Like with, Robin DeLuca Oconee, and she is a professor of social work at Stony Brook, and she also works specifically human rights and social work, which is really what social work is all about, right? I don't think you can do that work outside of human rights, but she addresses specifically human rights and social work. And she's done a lot of research in this field, and there's an annual school social workers conference, and this year it is in Atlanta. And this year she invited me to be her co-presenter. Her research is in the area of burnout in school social work. And they presented some of their findings in a research study last year. They were invited back to talk about it. And in the face of conditions that create burnout in a field that's really a hard field. Anyone who knows a social worker, and particularly school social workers, it's a tough field. And so the work we do at What Better Looks Like about on purpose creating beloved community, we're going to talk about how building community is a really important I would say social infrastructure for helping people who are in a very hard field before they go into burnout, or have the relationships and the tools they need to deal with it when it comes. So I'm excited about that. It's going to be in Atlanta, which is where Dr. King did a lot of his work, and the King Center is down there. So I'm looking forward to being in Atlanta for the very first time, and walking the grounds and walking the city. And
Which, by the way, I think he would have loved these cupcakes that you made.
I'm certain that he would have loved these cupcakes.
I just want to throw that out there.
But it is. I'm excited about this opportunity. I'm excited to get a chance to meet with so many people who are on the ground doing the everyday work of making lives better for people who are... I always say I think the most important people on the planet, and I am, I guess, a little biased, right now are social workers and artists. Because social workers, wherever you are a social worker, a lot of us can go through our day every day thinking life is okay if it's okay for us. But whatever system a social worker is working in, whether it's in a hospital or a school or a correctional facility, they see where systems are broken.
Yeah.
Social workers see where systems are broken, and they see the impact it has on the people who are suffering because of the broken systems. And artists really do have this vision for imagining, well, what could better look like? If this is what it is and we can see the brokenness, how do we heal the brokenness? So I have a lot of people in my life who are social workers, a lot of people in my life who are artists, and I love the nexus where they come together, and that's where we hope to do our presentation. That's where we are doing our presentation, and we hope that it'll have a really positive impact. So next week when we connect, I hope I'll have more of a feedback and of how it went, and I'm sure I'll be very excited by the visit.
Great. Awesome.
I feel complete. Do you feel complete?
I think so.
Anything you want to add? By way of kind of just
I don't.
a final message.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I think I'm good. Yeah, I think we all said what we needed to say. We really, again, these are weekly, just sort of touching base with you good folks out there.
And with each other.
Yeah.
And with each other.
That's true, yeah, because we're getting to the point where this is kind of our date. We're on a date right now. Yeah,
We have invited you in.
yeah.
Yeah, but it is. So I'm
That's,
really.
that sounded weirdly like we've invited you into our date.
But we both,
Yeah.
our schedules are both getting really crazy
Yeah.
busy in ways
Uh-huh.
they weren't when we were raising our kids.
Right,
because
and
Mom
our
did
kids
that.
as well. So
Yeah.
it's getting the four of us together is like ridiculous. Yeah,
So I am. I look forward to these check-ins. We're glad to share it with you guys. Hope that you find something of value in our conversations.
yeah,
And just to continue to kind of ask, well, my question is for you right now, what would better look like? And just let that inform how you move through your day. And I love that you're always looking for the artist, right? What can you create in this moment
right,
that will be of value?
right.
What can you create in this moment? So I think I love those guys.
Or even if it's not of value, what do you create in this moment that will fill your creative cup?
Well, to me, that's value.
Oh, okay, I
Yeah,
thought you meant a
that's
value.
what-
I thought
oh,
you meant a value
yeah.
to the world.
Oh,
okay.
no, not
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
necessarily. Just,
All right.
yeah,
Okay.
of value.
Makes sense.
I think we're probably would define it similarly.
Okay,
All right. I love you.
love you too.
All right. Thanks,
Right.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, sorry.